Hi, welcome back to Sarah Lilly Makes. My name is Sarah and this is my little journaling space here on YouTube where I like to document and share and talk about all the things that I've been making. This is a special episode where I am going to talk about all the things that I finished in 2023. It's a lot, so before I actually get into it, I just have two small disclaimers that I'd like to share. The first being that I knit a lot in 2023. I have a lot of finished objects, and I don't want to contribute to the idea that one needs to have completed what I have done to be a knitter. I think what I knitted this year worked for me, and I found a lot of joy and fulfillment in my knitting. At the same time, I spent most of my time knitting because it was what I found to be therapeutic this year. I will get into that as my second disclaimer in a second. But I don't want to contribute to any idea that one needs to constantly be knitting. If this is your hobby and if what you made in 2023 brought you joy and you were fulfilled, then that's the bottom line. And I hope that that is reflected in my video as well, that idea is reflected in my video. And yeah, I don't want to contribute to any idea or perception that you need to have knitted what I've knitted. Which brings me to my second disclaimer. Knitting in 2023 was therapeutic for me. 2023 was very challenging for me, and I heavily relied on knitting to bring me out of whatever it was I was experiencing. And I've briefly mentioned in a previous episode that I've been struggling with burnout. I still feel like that, and I heavily relied on knitting to help me manage and cope in 2023, and as a result I knitted a lot and I spent a lot of my time knitting. I'm a mom of 4. I stay at home, I homeschool my kids, so I have the time to knit, and that is also reflected in this episode. So those are my two brief disclaimers, that I don't want to contribute to any idea of constant churning out knitting garments, and also that knitting in 2023 was my coping mechanism. It was therapeutic for me, and it will be reflected in this episode, in this video. So without further ado, I'm gonna dive in, and I am standing up because I want to try on all the things that I made for myself. I knitted I have 44 finished objects in 2023. One of them is not here because that was gifted to a friend, and I didn't solely knit for myself this year. I don't generally knit only for myself. I knit for my family members, and I have a lot of things that I can't try on because it's for my kids or my husband. And yeah, I will try on what I made for myself so you can see everything, almost everything, with the exception of like 10 things I have talked about in depth in previous episodes of this on my channel. So I'm not going to reiterate too much of the same things, and I'm not going to go into full detail. I'm just going to, how I'm going to do this is I'm going to talk about the pattern, the design, the garment, share the yarn that I used. I will also be looking at my Ravelry notes, so I have everything as accurate as I could possibly have. And I will share the yarn, I'll share the pattern, the designer, how I feel about the pattern, if I wore it, and I wore everything mostly, if I wore it a lot, and how I still feel about it to this day. So I will go chronologically, and let's get into it then. Okay. The first thing I knitted in 2023 was not for myself, it was for my daughter, and it is a marble sweater by Petiteknit. So actually, before I actually get started again, I have multiple stacks on my desk right here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks. That is mostly that size, so it's a lot. All right, let's actually get into it now. Okay, the first garment I have is the marble sweater, which is a pattern from Petiteknit, and I knitted this for my daughter. I'm gonna hold it up. I made the size extra small for her because she is a women's extra small or extra small. She fits into either one of those. And I knitted this with the Heart yarn or Heart Garn Natural. So Heart yarn, 100% wool. It is, I used the pink and I used Sisleray fat mohair in the color Rosé O'Clock. Yes, fat mohair Rosé O'Clock. So I used 5 skeins, 5 balls of the Heart yarn, which is a bulky weight yarn, and it is 100% wool. It's 100 grams for 100 meters. And then it is held together with Sisleray fat mohair in Rosé O'Clock. So this is my daughter's marble sweater, and I'll do my best to insert pictures here of the other things that I won't be trying on, so you get an idea of what it looks like on her body, on them, maybe. So that was my first finished object. She did not wear this a lot because her tastes have kind of changed. And she is very much not a pink girl anymore, so it's okay. I have it there, and if she changes her mind, it's in her closet and she can wear it if she still wants to or not. So that is, I made myself a marble sweater 2022 at the end of 2022, and I want to make myself another one. I did not enjoy knitting this too much because I don't thoroughly enjoy knitting with bulky weight yarn on very thick needles. It hurts my hands and it's not the most enjoyable knitting experience. So, but I do want to make myself a marble sweater with a Sisleray yarn that I have, and probably won't get to that anytime soon, but it's in the back of my mind. The next garment that I made was a garment I made for myself, and that was it was the first garment I started in 2023, and it's the Moby sweater by Petiteknit. So I will just try this on. I wore this in my last episode, I'm pretty sure. And I love this. This was my first cast on 2023, and I knit very monogamously, very religiously on this once I started it. And I finished this second because I worked on the marble sweater for my daughter as well, and that was much faster to finish. But I knitted this with Sandnes Garn, double Sunday in ballet shoes, and powder rose, tin silk mohair, powder rose, 3511. So this got a lot of wear in 2023. I wore this a ton once I finished it off, and then once fall and winter hit, I started wearing it again a lot. And it's just a gorgeous garment. I loved it. I loved making it. I want to make another one, but I don't know when because I have so many cable garments that I want to work on. So the Moby sweater, while I loved making this and I loved wearing it, and I will make it again, just not anytime soon. I don't think I have anything else to say about this. I want to move along pretty quickly because, like I said, I have 44 garments to go, 44 knits to go through. So yeah, let's move into the third finished object. Let's move into the third finished object, shall we? And that is a Monday sweater junior for my son, my younger son. I knitted this with Sandnes Garn Smart in the colorway 2641, and I used I knitted the size 10 to 12 for my son. This is the Monday Sweater Junior pattern by Petiteknit. And nothing too much to say about this. It's basic raglan construction, folded collar, and ribbing at the sleeves, and just a simple basic pattern. And he needed a nice neutral garment in his wardrobe, so I made this for him. And I knitted this with Sandnes Garn Smart, like I said, because I wanted something that's easy to wash. And this is a machine washable yarn. Although, to be fair, I don't really throw anything in the machine anymore because I have felted a few garments. But when I made this at the start of the year, I had felted like 3 garments. That's a story for another time. But I wanted it to be easy care for him because he's a young boy and I just wanted something easy care. But I don't actually throw anything in the washing machine anymore, even if it is machine washable, just because I have experience felting things and it's not fun. Okay, that was my 3rd finished object. Moving on to my 4th finished object, and that is the Bonnie cable sweater. I will try this on now. Okay, this was an amazing knit. I loved this garment. This is a pattern from Sandnes Garn. It is from the pattern booklet 2210, and this is the Bonnie cable sweater knitted with double Sunday and tin silk mohair. I used double Sunday light beige and tin silk mohair kit, and it has a gorgeous all over cable 2x2 rib, and I just really love this pattern. I knitted this in January, so this is my 4th finished object in January. And I initially did not like the very thick sleeves, like there are no decreases on the sleeves, and when I first made it, I wasn't a big fan of it because I like tapered sleeves. But after wearing it quite a bit and just rolling up the sleeves and going about with my business, it works just fine. And I am so happy with this garment. I am definitely planning on making another one of these, but I want to make there's a DK weight version that was released last year, and that's the one I want to make. So that one is knitted with Sunday and tin silk mohair. This is knitted on US 8 5mm needles, and I think that one is knitted with 4mm needles. So DK weight, I think it would be a lot less fabric, and as much as I like this, I definitely want to have a lighter version in my wardrobe. So yes, I would make this again, but I'm going to make the DK weight version in the near future. Bonnie cable sweater, Sandnes Garn, and I love this design. I love this knit. I wear it quite a bit. I've worn it quite a bit, and it's definitely a favorite. That is my January knits. Moving into February, and the first thing I finished in February was the Hadley Genser. If I can find it. Yes, okay. This is from Sandnes Garn as well. I'm gonna put it on. Hadley Genser from Sandnes Garn, and this is from their booklet 2302. Yes, 2302. And I knitted this with Peer Gynt and alpaca folgetrad. This was when they had just released the new Peer Gynt tweedy colors, and I fell in love with it. This is Tutti Frutti, and I don't know if you could see anything, barely. But it's a neutral yarn with a lot of gorgeous, colorful speckles, and I love this sweater. I wore this a lot. I would definitely make this sweater again, and I made it again in a different iteration of this design. But I also want to make another one. I have plans to make another one. But I love this design. I love the chunky increased section that is a feature of this pattern. I love the 2x2 rib, the split hem on the sides. You can't really see it. And overall, I just love this design. I wore this quite a bit, and I definitely would make this again. So this is the Hadley Genser from Sandnes Garn pattern booklet 2302, and I knitted this with Sandnes Garn alpaca folgotrad in colorway 2321 and Sandnes Garn Peergynt Tutti Frutti, and the color number is 2720. That was my first February knit. My second February knit was a project that came over from 2022, and this was my first cardigan of the year, and this is the cardigan number 8 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and this got so much wear. This has literally been, I lived in this. So I started this in October of 2022, and I knitted this with Isayer, Aran Tweed, and Sandnes Garn Tin Silk Mohair. I'm not a fan of knitting with that yarn by any means. It felt like knitting with twine or like rope or something. And it wasn't a pleasant knitting experience. However, once I finished it off and I blocked it, washed and blocked it, soaked it, it softened up so much, and it still feels pretty rustic, but it definitely is a lot more comfortable, and it is just an easy to throw on, easy to wear. I have worn this so much. It's gotten so much wear. I loved this finished product. It has a double knit button band along the entire front. I know it's hard to see and I'm standing up, but I just loved it. I just enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy knitting it very much because of the yarn, but I enjoyed wearing it. I enjoyed having the finished object, and it's been a staple in my wardrobe. And I do want to knit this pattern again, just with a different yarn, yarn something, but not the Isayer Aran Tweed. And that is my cardigan number 8 from My Favorite Things Knitwear, and that was my second February finished object. My next finished object in February was a dress for my toddler. This is the Dahlia dress from Linne Home Samso, and this is knitted with Knitting for Olive, merino, and mohair in soft rose. Yes, soft rose. I did not really follow, I didn't get gauge, I didn't really follow the needle size. I don't think, I can't remember actually, but I know I didn't get gauge, but it's still, I made it to her size, and I just love this. She hasn't really worn it a whole lot because, I don't know why she hasn't worn it a lot. That is a good question, but I'm gonna put her in it for the rest of the winter because she's gonna outgrow it very soon, and that would be sad that she didn't get to wear it a lot. But I made a size 4, and I just love it. I love the lace pattern. There is a what is that called? A peekaboo at the back with a buttonhole that I crocheted a little button loop to it, and then I added the button, and I just really love this design. I think I want to make this design in an adult size for me, not the dress, but the Dahlia pattern at some point. But yeah, this is a gorgeous knit. I love it. I just need to put her in it more. And that is my third February finished object. And I don't know if I have, yes, I have one more finished object in February. Another toddler knit for my daughter. And this is the Marley sweater. There's a little split hem right there, which is so cute. And this is another Sandnes Garn pattern. This is the Marley sweater from their pattern booklet 2303. And I knitted this with the yarn Sandnes Garn's Cos in the color light yellow. And this took all of 3 balls to finish off this tiny little size 4. I think I made a size 4. I don't have a size here. But anyway, this is a little drop shoulder sweater, and she definitely wore this a lot because I just made her wear it a lot. I would make this again. I do want to make it again. It's such a basic sweater, and I love COS. I just love knitting with it, and it's definitely one of my favorite Sandnes Garn yarns. In my March finished objects now, the first thing I finished in March was the Oxford cardigan, which is another Sandnes Garn pattern. If you are new, you will see that there is a trend. This is a somewhat long cardigan. It goes past my butt, which I love. It's like completely covers my butt. And I knitted this with Petiteknit, the color 6035, and this is like a tweedy yarn as well. And I knitted this with Petiteknit color 6035 and held it together with Tin Silk Mohair 6012 or light blue. There are some pockets on the side, which it's not my best job, but it does the job, so I'm not complaining. But this was a very fun pattern. I wore this so much. This was like a staple in my early spring, late winter, early spring wardrobe days, and I just wore this a lot. I loved this. I loved this knit. I love knitting this. And I have plans to knit another one. So this got so much wear, and I definitely want to make this again. This is the Oxford cardigan, pattern from Sandnes Garn, booklet 2302, and knitted with Petiteknit and Tin Silk Mohair. That is my first finished object in March, and my second finished object in March was a sweater for my son. I only knit one garment. That was all I knitted in March, actually. I guess that was all I knitted in March. Okay, this was finished on the 1st of April. This is another Sandnes Garn pattern, and this is also knitted with COS. This is the Jasper Genser from Sandnes Garn Men's Magazine. I don't have the pattern number here. Oh yes, Sandnes Garn booklet 2015, the Mr. magazine. And this is a saddle shoulder construction and a bit of a contiguous sleeve construction going on here. And I knitted this, like I said, with Sandnes Garn COS, and the color is 8512 or pistachio green. And I love this. He doesn't wear it very much because, I don't know, he just doesn't wear it very much. So I might end up taking it and keeping it for myself. This is a men's medium, and it might be a little bit oversized on me, but that's okay. I don't mind. I love this color a lot, and if he doesn't want it, I am going to take it back. It was a birthday sweater for him, and it is what it is. The next thing that I made was a pair of socks, and the only pair of socks that I made in 2023. I don't have it here. I gave it to my daughter, and she has it somewhere. I don't want to go through her stuff for it, so I will just insert a picture right here. And it was a pair of DK weight socks, which is really the only kind of socks that I would knit if I knitted socks, and I gave it to my daughter. It's hers. The next thing that I finished in April, so that was my second, the socks was my second. The next thing that I made in April was another Sandnes Garn pattern, and it's the Brook cardigan, which was also from booklet 2302. So this was my third knit from that booklet, and I talked about this pattern in, I think, my second episode or my first episode. my second episode maybe. But there was some false starts on this, and I ended up having to rip it out like 3 times. And then I ended up making it still with some mistakes, but it's okay. This is an Oliver half fisherman's rib cardigan, and I love this. I love this so much that I want to make it again. It has these cute little floral or flower buttons here. The button band is double knit, and yeah, it's just slightly oversized in the yoke, but it's totally wearable, and I love it. I wore this a lot, and I am definitely gonna make another one at some point because it's such a versatile piece and a gorgeous design. I love this. I love this a lot. I'm glad I actually went back and frogged it a few times, but I'm glad I finished it off because I wore this so much. This was my 3rd cardigan of 2023, and that was my 3rd project in April. Let's see if I had any more. And I do have another one. Before I get into that, I'm moving into my spring and summer knits now, and I actually did an episode where I tried everything that I made in spring and summer in a previous episode, so I'm not gonna go try on all of my spring and summer knits because there's an episode where I tried everything on and I shared it. So I'm just gonna hold it up here. I will link it up here, the video, if you want to check it out. But that's moving into my spring and summer now, and I have a pile. So this is my spring and summer knitting. And then I have one thing for my daughter somewhere. But my first spring knit was a test knit that I did for Cheryl of Coco Amour Knitwear. And it's the Brighton Tea. And this was a fun knit, a really gorgeous knit, a gorgeous design. And I knitted this with Sunday from Sandnes Garn. And the colorways that I used are Statement Green, Whipped Cream, and Sand, I think. I didn't put that one in my Ravelry notes, but it's a beige, one of the Petiteknit beiges, and there's a lot of them. So the Brighton Tea test, I love this. I definitely would make this again. It's an Oliver fingering weight. It's a fingering weight striped garment, so it's not high on my to-do list, but I would make this again if I had the chance to. That's the Brighton Tea, which was a pattern from Cheryl of Coco Amour Knitwear. The next finished object that I have in May now, this is moving on into May, but this is my spring and summer, is the Cumulus Tea by Petiteknit. And this doesn't really need a whole lot of introduction because I feel like everybody and their mom made a Cumulus Tea this past year. And I knitted this with Sisley Pure Silk in the colorway Summer Sorbet. And I love this. And I love this knit. I love this design. I absolutely have plans to make another Cumulus Tea this year. And yeah, definitely one of my favorite summer knits of this year. My next knit is the Poppy Tea, which is another Petiteknit pattern. I wore this a ton. I knitted this with Knitting for Olive, Merino, and Mohair in the color Cherry Blossom, which has been one of my favorite Knitting for Olive colorways. I love this color. I love this project. I love this yarn. I would absolutely knit this again. That is my... oh, darn it. I forgot something I forgot to bring something. It was a dress I made for my daughter, and it was the Augustine dress from Sandnes Garn, the pattern booklet 2304. I'll include a picture here. And I adored this pattern. I adored this dress. She wore it a ton. I would make it again, except the size is up to size 4, and she's outgrowing size 4. So I loved it. I adore Sandnes Garn's kids patterns, and I will make it over again if I could. The next thing that I made that I also forgot is the Violet Tea, which was a test knit for Sarah of Noel Knits, and I will include a picture here. I made this for my daughter. I tested this for her. She outgrew it very quickly, but it was a gorgeous design and a gorgeous knit. The next thing that I made, this was in June now, is a cherry Genser. Okay, I am not going to try in my summer knits like I said, but I ran into some problems with this pattern and I talked about this in my reflections video. You're more than welcome to check it out, but I made it, I just went overboard on my increasing. It's a raglan striped garment. I knitted this with Sandnes Garn Lina in kit and a bunch of rainbow colors, as you can see. It is a gorgeous design. I just messed up and I did not get a lot of wear out of this. So yeah, it's not been my favorite knit. That is from Sandnes Garn's booklet 2306 or something like that. That's their women's summer magazine. So the next thing that I made was a sweater for my toddler. And this is the Leon sweater, which is a pattern from Petiteknit. And this is knitted with Sunday held double in whipped cream and plastic pink. She wore this so much this year. She lived in this garment pretty much all winter, all fall. And I want to make myself a version still. Eventually. I'll get to it. But it's definitely one of her most worn knits this past year. The next thing that I made was a June top, which was a pattern from Petiteknit. And I knitted this with Sisley merino singles, held double in some leftover yarn that I had. I talked about this. I made this too short, so it's not gotten a whole lot of wear, but I still really love this knit. And some people gave me some really lovely suggestions on what to do, and I might at some point do it, but I don't know if I will get to it. The next thing that I made is the Augusta singlet, which is a pattern from Sandnes Garn. I knitted this with Sandnes Garn's Tick Lina in the color pistachio, and I wore this a lot. I loved this knit. This is my second time knitting this tank top, and I loved it. And I'll probably be making more, for sure. And the next knit that I have is another garment for my toddler, which is the Jolly sweater from Sandnes Garn's 2306. Their summer booklet for kids, and I love this. I ran into some problems with this, weirdly enough, and it's a round yoke, striped garment. I really loved making this, but it was just a little bit of problems at the start, and it's fine. I forget what it was that I did wrong. Oh, yeah, I remember now. I didn't do all of the increases to get to the armpits section, and so I fudged and I added some extra increases at the back, like between these two blue stripes here. No matter. She wore it a lot, so that's all that matters. Excuse me. The next thing that I made was, I guess I made more winter stuff. I made a cumulus blouse, O-neck, and I'm gonna actually put that on because I'm kind of chilly. I made a cumulus blouse, O-neck, which is a pattern from Petiteknit, and I wore the heck out of this. Oh my gosh, I wore this garment so much. I have plans to make another one. It's on my winter plans list, and I knitted this with Sorella Suri alpaca lace in the colorway Maison, held double. I'm gonna lose my voice by the end of this. And I wore this so much. I loved this garment. I love knitting with this yarn. I absolutely am gonna make another one. It's part of my winter plans, but I want to make the V-neck version. And then that was my... Oh, I'm in July right now. Okay, so my next finished object was another test knit that I did for Cheryl of Coco More Knitwear, and that is the Seaside Tee. And this is another fingering weight tee that I made for her, I tested for her. This is knitted with Sandnes Garn Tin Lina in the color Kit, and the blue is 7213. Can't remember the name of the color, but anyway, I got so much wear out of this. I loved this knit so much. Oh my gosh, this was definitely one of my favorite summer knits, and it's just a gorgeous like drape. Look at this drape. It's just so, I loved it. It is a saddle shoulder and contiguous again, and then a raglan, compound raglan. But this was a really fun knit. I loved it. I would make this again for sure if I have the patience for another striped fingering weight garment. But that was definitely one of my favorite knits for summer. The next thing that I finished was another test for Cheryl of Coco More Knitwear, and this is also another favorite of mine, and this is the Mia Summer Tee. I knitted this with Sandnes Garn's Mandarin Petite in the colorway 4002. This is a broken rib garment, and the sleeve is completely broken rib, and the raglan increases are done on a broken rib stitch count, and then it goes along the side. And I just love this. This is knitted with Mandarin Petite, like I said, and that is a 100% cotton yarn. So it has gotten a little bit crunchy, and that is my only like negative thing to say about that. But I really love this yarn despite that. I think I just need to throw it in the dryer to fluff it up a tiny bit, and it'll be fine. But yeah, another favorite summer knit of mine that I would definitely make again this year if I could. That is the Mia Summer Tee by Coco More Knitwear. The next finished object that I have, I am still in July, is the Alice top, and I talked about this in my summer knits. I didn't wear this a lot because the color was just a little too bright for me, but I am warming up to the idea of it, and I do want to make a sweater in a similar color, but it's not gotten a lot of wear, despite the fact that this is a gorgeous garment. I love this top a lot. I would make this pattern again, just in a less flashy color. That was my last July garment, I think. Let's see. Yes, the next garment that I finished was a Sunday tee from Petiteknit, and I knitted this with Sizzler Ray's Pure Silk in the colorway. This was a one-of-a-kind color, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, One Pot Wonder. So that's how she labels her one-of-a-kind colors, and this is another gorgeous knit. I knitted this a little extra long, which I wanted, but it's still a little too long for me. And I also twisted my join. Oh, I didn't join my yarn. When you fold over the collar and you seam it down, I kind of twisted it a little bit. So, but I love this knit. I definitely wore this a lot, and this is my second time knitting this pattern, and I think I'm putting it on hold for a bit because I love the pattern, but I've made it twice already, so I'll take a break from knitting the Sunday tee. The next pattern that I made in August was the Peacock Tee from Lilly Makes. And I knitted this with Sandnes Garn Lina in the color Siren 4612, and this got so much wear this summer. I love this. I am going to make a different version of, she has multiple lace yoke summer patterns, and I have like 2 of them that I want to make. So I will make this eventually, but not this year. I want to make one of her other summer lace yoke patterns. So that is the Peacock Tee by Lilly Makes. And then the next thing that I made was a Monday Sweater Junior birthday sweater for my daughter. I knitted this with Sizzler Ray's Merino single and mohair in the color Tivoli, and this is just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous design. I mean, finished garment. I just love this yarn. It's just literally like sprinkles, and this was a birthday sweater for my toddler, and she wore it a lot. I love this. I have plans to make myself a version with this same colorway. That is the Monday Sweater Junior from Petiteknit, and then the next, that's my final summer knit, is the Camisole number 9 from My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I don't love this very much. I shared some thoughts on this in my summer knitting reflections video, and I just did not enjoy this as much as I thought I would. I like wearing it now, but I did not enjoy the process of making this. I was a little sloppy on the joining of the bands and the armholes, and I didn't enjoy this yarn. This is knitted with Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, and I feel like I'm one of the few people who don't enjoy Knitting for Olive Pure Silk very much. I much prefer Sandnes Garn Tin Lena over the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, but that's just a personal preference, and this wasn't the most enjoyable knitting experience, but I'm glad I have this still in my wardrobe. I wouldn't make this again for myself, but my older daughter would like me to make her a version, so I will probably do that for her this year. And that is it for the summer knits, spring and summer knits. I kind of combined those together in that video. And the next thing that I have is the gingham sweater, which is a pattern from Sandnes Garn's newest fall magazines. Let me pull that up real fast. This was an amazing knit. This was just an amazing knit. I thoroughly enjoyed knitting this garment up. This is the Sandnes Garn's gingham sweater from their magazine 2308. I need to rewash and reblock this because I talked about this already and I still haven't done it, but the sleeves are a bit compressed because I didn't like take the time to block the sleeves out properly. But I love this. I just love this design. I love the sweater so much. I have worn it a few times. I just haven't taken the time to reblock it. So it doesn't bother me a significant amount, so I just never got around to fixing the sleeves, so it's fine. But I knitted this with Sandnes Garn Peergynt in the colorways Marzipan, the main color, and then light brown heather and taupe. So that is my Sandnes Garn's gingham sweater. I talked about this in great detail in one of my previous fall episodes, so you are more than welcome to look through that and check it out. And then my next finished object is the Eva cardigan, which was something that I definitely wanted to make this year, and I am so glad that I made it because this has definitely been one of my most worn garments this year, and I just love it. I love this. This is definitely a favorite, and hands down, actually I loved all my cardigans, so I can say that this is my most favorite, but yeah. I knitted this pattern with the recommended yarn Peergynt in the color that she used in her sample, which was the I can't remember the name, but the number is 5591. And yeah, I love this. Love this. Would absolutely make this again. And I have to make a toddler version, and I want to make a child's version, and I want to make another version for myself. So hands down would make that over again. And my okay, the next one is the artisan cardigan, which I went into detail again with in my previous fall episode. This is definitely my most favorite knit that caused me some trouble, but you know, it's fine. This is a cable and texture cardigan from Sandnes Garn's booklet 2308, and I love this. I have nothing else to say about this. I just love it. I love this. I just love it. This is knitted with Petiteknit Double Sunday. It's Sandnes Garn Petiteknit Double Sunday in the color cardamom and tin silk mohair. in the color 2321, and I think that's marzipan. Staple. This is just my favorite. This is my favorite. I shared some thoughts about the pattern itself, which was not the most enjoyable knitting experience, but despite all of that, I just love this. Love this. And my pile is growing smaller, so that's good. My next finished object is the Facile sweater, which is also from Sandnes Garn. The same booklet, 2308. I knitted this with brushed alpaca, 2523. I didn't cut that. It's woven in, it just has them in cut. So I never really wore this a lot. I should have sized down. I made the size medium large, which I generally make with Sandnes Garn's patterns, but it's just, I made the sleeves too long. I wanted to use up all the yarn, which I did, 8 balls of brushed alpaca, but I haven't really gotten a lot of wear out of it because it's just so like cumbersome. I mean, I could roll up the sleeves and wear it, but it's just not gotten as much wear as I had hoped, and which is sad because it's a gorgeous knit and it was such a simple, quick, easy knit. It's just not been getting wear, sadly. But this is the Facile sweater from Sandnes Garn, pattern booklet 2308. I knitted this with brushed alpaca, which is definitely one of my favorite yarns from Sandnes Garn. I say that a lot. But the color is 2523, and I am in October now. I did not, I realized I stopped talking about what the month was. Okay, and that is my Facile sweater. Moving on to my Rami sweater. So I talked about the Hadley Genser at the start. The Rami sweater is an iteration of the Hadley Genser from Sandnes Garn. Let me put it on because it's a lot to put on. All right, I love this thing. I just haven't worn it. Sadly, again, because it's a gorgeous design. It's a gorgeous knit, and I think the neck is just too tight for me. It's a gorgeous silhouette. I love it. For me, it's a little too constricting, and I haven't worn it too much. I haven't worn it at all, actually, since I took pictures. And I also never finished the duplicate stitching on the back because it was hurting my hands, and so I decided to just be done with it. And it's sad because it's a gorgeous knit. It's just too much on my neck, and I don't know what I want to do with this. I don't know what. I loved it. This was something that I wanted to make so badly. And it's not a flop because it's a gorgeous design. I love the design, and I love the 2x2. I love the split hem. I love the yarn. I love Peer Gynt. I love the tin silk mohair. I just don't find that I reach for this. I have a lot of other sweaters that I could wear, so I choose that instead. So I don't know what to do with this because I love it, and I just can't wear it, sadly. But this is the Rami sweater, Sandnes Garn pattern booklet 2311, knitted with Peer Gynt, almond 2511, and I used Peer Gynt almond and tin silk mohair almond. So both of these yarns, the Peer Gynt and the tin silk mohair, is almond, and then the black is black. But that's the Rami sweater from Sandnes Garn, and it's gonna. Give me a second, please. Okay, let's see. I didn't get makeup on it, so that's good. All right, so that is my first November knit, and then I finished off a scarf. I'll share a picture right here. I made a gift for a friend who is the director of a show that my kids were in the fall. And then my next finished object is a beanie for my husband, which he wore a lot this past year. It's giant for my head, but that's okay. I actually really like this, and I want to make this beanie again. I knitted that with double Sunday, held double, which is one of the versions that Sandnes Garn has. This is the must-have beanie from Pattern Booklet 2210. And they have a version where you knit with double Sunday held double, and you knit a version with double Sunday held single. So that's the other one that I would really like to make. And the next beanie that I made is the Stockholm hat, and I just decided to keep this for myself because I realized I don't have any beanies at all. And this is the Stockholm hat from Petiteknit, and I knitted this with hedgehog fibers, merino DK in a potluck colorway. And then my next finished object is the Sonia sweater, and I went basic with this. I knitted this with Peer Gynt, colorway 1021, and I really love this. I wore this so much this winter. I really wanted a basic gray sweater in my wardrobe, which I've been knitting sweaters for 3 years, and I did not have a basic gray sweater in my wardrobe. So I fixed that this winter, and I made myself this Sonia sweater. I altered the pattern a bit, modified the pattern a bit, and I did 2x2 rib. I did I think the fold, no? What was a fold over? Yeah. And then I did a split hem at the side. So that's a Sonia sweater. I used a different yarn than was recommended, and I'm happy with my yarn choice. I used the colorway 1021, which is an ash melange gray or something like that. And then my next finished object, and I think this is the last finished object I have from myself, and then the others are kids and husband, is a Monday sweater for myself. And I knitted this with Sisley merino single dreamy drizzle and tin silk mohair off-white, or 1012 or 1001 or something. 1012. Okay. So I love this. I wore this over the winter a ton when we were on vacation this past winter, and I wore this almost every single day. So the Monday sweater is definitely one of those basic patterns that I could make over and over and over and over and over, and I definitely have plans to make it again. So the next thing that I have is a birthday sweater for my older daughter, and she wanted a shrug, and she wanted a cropped sweater. So I'm like, I'll just make this for her. This is the Lyon sweater, which is a pattern from Petiteknit. I just cropped it the moment I joined, or the moment I split for sleeves, sorry, and then I did ribbing, and yeah, she actually really loves this, and she's been wearing it a lot, so that makes me happy because she didn't wear the pink sweater at the beginning of the year a lot, and I was like, I don't want to make you something if you're not going to wear it, so she's been wearing it, so that's good. The next thing that I made was a Christmas sweater for my son, and it's the mushroom sweater, which is a drops pattern from their website, and then I used some drops charisma that I had in stash, and I love this. And he wore this a ton over the winter break as well, and I just love it. I want to make another version for my toddler at some point. And then oh no, I lied, I have two more. I have one more finished object for myself, sorry. I forgot about it because I haven't worn it. But it's another test knit for Cheryl of Coco Amour Knitwear, and it is the Stornoway sweater. And I haven't worn it because I haven't really been out since I finished it. I've been sick, so I haven't really gotten a chance to wear it. And I do love it, and I do want to wear it, and I do love it a lot. Okay, this is so gorgeous. This is an all-over texture knit. So this is the Stornoway sweater, a pattern from Cheryl, like I said, of Coco Amour Knitwear. I knitted this with Sandnes Garn, Peer Gynt, and Alpaca Folgetrad in the color Almond Tweed. So this is a Petiteknit Peer Gynt color, and the orange is That Orange Feeling. Also Peer Gynt and Alpaca Folgetrad. Both of them are the same colors. The alpaca for the Okay, the main color is Alpaca Folgotrad colorway 2321, and then the Peer Gynt is 2512. But the Peer Gynt and Alpaca orange field, that orange feeling is the same, 4008. So this is an all over, it's a drop shoulder, all over cable, all over texture, and a broken rib design here. These in between the garter stitch is a broken rib and then a stripe, and it was just fun and it was addicting, and I love this. I love knitting this. I really need to get an opportunity to wear it. So, but yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites for the winter as well. And my final finished object is a sweater for my husband. And that is the Tinda sweater from Sandnes Garn. I haven't washed this, I haven't blocked this, I haven't done anything since I finished it off and gifted it to him. And I need to go back and I need to fix it because I made one sleeve an extra decrease longer than the other. So one sleeve is like an inch longer than the other. I was just in a rush to finish it off for him Christmas, and I wasn't paying attention, and I made this one sleeve. Oh, hold on. Let me see if I could get it to line up. Yeah, it's like slightly longer than the other. So I want to fix it. He doesn't care. Well, I do, so I want to fix it and have that ready for him anytime he wants to wear it. And that is it for my finished objects. I have 4 whips that came into 2024 with me. Let's see, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 whips that I brought into 2023 with me. I will get to it when I get to it. I'm not in a rush. I can't remember if I mentioned it or not. I feel like I've been talking for an hour, which I have. I've been sick and I have barely been knitting since the end of December. I have barely gotten any knitting done, and that's sad. But it's okay. My body's been recovering. We had just a lot going on at the end of the year, and I'm just taking the time to recuperate and get better and make sure that I'm getting enough rest, and I just need to get better, completely better, and then I can start back focusing on knitting. And yeah. If you have made it this far, thank you for watching. I know that was very intense. It seemed intense for me. If you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for checking out my videos. And I really appreciate having you here. Like I said, I've been feeling burnt out, so it's just taking the time to record. It seems like it's a lot, and I don't want this to burn me out any further than it needs to. But this is just an extension of my hobby, like I've said before, and I don't want to lose that enjoyment of recording and editing and uploading a video, so I will just do my best to upload when I can, and I hope I can edit this in a timely fashion and have it out, because it's already January 8th and I'm already behind. Not that I'm not behind. I'm not behind. I feel like I couldn't get it done earlier, and this was my opportunity, so when it gets uploaded, it gets uploaded, and I hope you enjoy watching it. I hope if you've made it this far, you've enjoyed all my finished objects. It was a lot, and I hope it inspires you. You know, I don't think you should be knitting 44 garments. I don't think I should. Anyway, whatever. Thank you for sticking around. I hope you are well. I wish you health, and I wish you happy knitting. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.